Orville feels like classic Star Trek. And there's a reason for that. Seth MacFarlane, an unapologetic Trekkie, built the series to put human stories first, using science fiction as a way to examine who we are. And he topped it off with a hopeful future. Sound familiar? So today we're ranking 5 times the Orville made us feel like we were watching great Star Trek. Compliment intended.
If the Stars Should Appear.
Season 1's episode, If the Stars Should Appear, is one of the earliest moments the Orville signaled it had ambitions far beyond comedy. The crew discovers a vast, drifting bioship and steps into a society shaped by doctrine and a story its people were never allowed to question. The premise recalls Star Trek's For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, but the execution goes in a different direction. The Orville takes aim at the danger of leaders who bend the truth to maintain control, and the cost of keeping an entire culture disconnected from its origins.
Hi, I'm Captain Ed Mercer of the Jehovah's Witnesses.
It shows how confidently the storytelling could move from humor to real stakes.
Hi, I'm Captain Ed Mercer. Holy crap!
We give this episode an ensign ranking. It proved that the Orville wasn't just tipping its hat to a familiar concept, it was already building a world of its own.
Blood of Patriots.
Season 2's Blood of Patriots takes place during delicate peace negotiations between the Planetary Union and the Krill. But at the center of this situation is Gordon Malloy and the sudden reappearance of his old friend, Orin Channing. Orin's 20 years in Krill captivity have shaped him in ways Gordon isn't prepared to face. The episode draws its strength from that denial.
You're jealous.
I'm jealous? What am I jealous of?
Our friendship.
The political crisis becomes secondary to the personal one, and that's where the episode lands its deepest hit. Gordon is easily one of the more comedic characters on the bridge, but his arc here is thoughtful and grounded. It tests his instincts, his loyalty, and his ability to accept a reality he'd rather not see. We give this episode a lieutenant ranking. It's a character-driven story that shows the Orville's ability to handle emotional conflict with clarity and confidence.
Future Unknown.
Season 3's finale, Future Unknown, brings the Orville into one of science fiction's most enduring debates. When a technologically advanced society should intervene, and when stepping in can make things worse. Star Trek fans know the Prime Directive well, but this episode gives the Union its own opportunity to break down why a rule like that exists in the first place. Lycella's return from Season 1's majority rule makes that conversation possible. The last time we saw her, the crew were forced to reveal the truth about their mission, an action that ultimately saved John Lamar from trial by public opinion. Now she boards the Orville, convinced that Union technology could fix the problems on her home planet.
I think I need to go home.
Which sets the stage for Commander Grayson's explanation of the dangers of interference.
They all wanted to use the advancements for personal gain and for political dominance.
Doesn't get more clear than that. We give Future Unknown a lieutenant commander ranking. A finale that points out how solutions can be misused by a society that treats advancement as something to exploit rather than protect. I mean, it's not like we can relate to that or anything.
From Unknown Graves.
Throughout the Orville, ship names, admirals, and episode titles often draw from real-world references, very much in line with MacFarlane's style. And the episode From Unknown Graves continues this pattern. Its title comes from a Longfellow poem about the horrors of slavery, and the reference sets the tone for the Kahlon origin story. The Kahlon were a slave race. They were created to serve, controlled through punishment, and denied any autonomy. The story traces how that environment led to their revolt and why the Kahlon's distrust of biological life runs so deep. At this point in the show's run, we know the Orville to be more than capable of telling stories that echo real histories and carry meaningful weight. This episode uses that confidence to connect the Kahlon's past to the larger moral landscape of the series. We give From Unknown Graves a captain ranking, an origin story that reshapes the Kahlon conflict and invites the same kind of reflection on our past. Before we get to our Admiral ranking, did you know that Mission Log Podcast has a show all about the Orville? Yours truly and Captain Mike Richards tackle the entire series, episode by episode, and invite some truly out-of-this-world stars along the way. Find every episode on your preferred podcast player or on Mission Log Podcast YouTube.
About a Girl.
Slated for later in the series but moved up due to Brandon Braga's decision, About a Girl arrives early in season 1. This episode brings a significant moral conflict into focus. When a female child is born into an all-male species, Bortus is confronted with a cultural practice he's always accepted, and the story pushes him and the audience to consider who gets to define identity and what autonomy means when a society refuses to acknowledge it. The episode isn't as refined as the chapters that follow, but it sets the foundation for one of the show's most important arcs. Later episodes like A Tale of Two Topas and Midnight Blue build on everything introduced here, and with that added clarity, the series draws a much sharper connection between Topa's journey and real struggles faced by the LGBTQIA+ communities.
I am female.
This is where the path begins. It's not perfect, but it's bold, and it changes the direction of the series in a lasting way. We give About a Girl an Admiral ranking. It marks the moment the Orville made it clear that it was willing to take on timely, challenging stories with lasting impact. The Orville has more than earned its rank among beloved sci-fi series, so much so that fans across the universe are still clamoring for season 4. And when it lifts off, we'll be right there with it. Let us know if you agree with our rankings or if you missed an episode that deserves a promotion. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'll see you in the stars.